Hi everyone, welcome to my show, From Stuck to Unstoppable, how divorce can be the catalyst for the most extraordinary chapter in your life. Learn how 21 mindset experts can help you shift, thrive, and create the life of your dreams. Now, this is not limited only to women who are experiencing divorce or separation. This is for any woman who is finding themselves in a transition in their life, whether it be an empty nesting or career shift or navigating parts of their career that they hadn't anticipated, relationships. Gosh, there's a myriad of things that one could be in transition with. It could simply be that you've woken up one morning and realized that this is not exactly the life that you had in mind. That's very real, and I feel like that's happening a lot these days. So this show and summit is for you. I have curated a handful of wonderful mindset specialists, casting a wide net of expertise from health, wealth, marriage, divorce, relationships, financial, grief, all sorts of things that will help you navigate your way into living the best version of yourself in your life. So stay tuned as we trickle out 21 experts over the next 21 days to help inspire and empower and help you realize that everything you need is exactly inside of you where it's always been. So join me on this little adventure, and I look forward to seeing you. Thanks so much. Welcome back to my show, From Stuck to Unstoppable. I'm your host, Christina Price, and today with me, I thought it would be lovely to wrap up our series with Laurie Gerber, who is a master life and relationship expert. So we're wrapping up the series after going through all of the transition with how do we want our lives to look on the other side of the transition if you want to be in a healthy relationship. So Laurie is helping women over 50 break through emotional blocks and design deeply aligned, joy-filled lives through raw honesty, radical accountability. You empower women to rewrite their inner narratives that are holding them back. And we're going to unpack all those little things. But first, I'm going to turn the floor over to Laurie, and she's going to give us a little intro and a little backstory as to how she became the guru of healthy relationships.
Guru. That's a bit much. Okay. But I am a teacher, and I'm pretty sure that's what guru means. Okay. Flashback many years ago, I actually came to coaching because I came to coaching for help with my career. I was in the middle of a near divorce experience, and my coach took one look at me and said, if you don't fix your marriage, good luck dreaming for any other area in your life. I don't think you realize you're throwing it away, and you might mind. You might mind.
Wow.
And she was so right. So she went directly to work. Again, I came for the societally acceptable purpose of working on my business, and we did eventually work on my business and change my career. But at the time, I was way more in love with sugar than I was with my husband. We had 2 small kids at the time. Now we have 3, 2 of whom are grown. And I really was a cliche of giving up on my marriage and not having sex, not giving the benefit of the doubt, not being loving, not being kind. And she said, are you okay to get divorced? Is that what you're going for? Because that's where we're headed. And that was a enormous wake-up call. I changed everything within weeks. I changed everything about how I approached my marriage and my situation with my husband, saved my marriage. And now I am almost over 30 years in with my husband, and it gets better and better. Now,
amazing.
Forward, then I quit sugar. So those 2 things.
You actually were in love with sugar. I thought you meant like the sweetness.
Actually. No, actually, you know how people eat to feed.
Oh yeah.
Feed themselves something. Yep. That was my best relationship. Sugar and food never failed.
I'm sure that lands with a lot of people.
Yes.
I don't think there are many people who aren't in love with sugar, whether they know it or not.
it was amazing to see actually the connection and nobody and I had been speaking of gurus, I had been studying with gurus, I had been going to therapy, doing courses, reading books, taking retreats, meditating, yoga, blah blah. Nobody had ever said, no, you're substituting your relationship. It's not like I was going without comfort and a
Right.
nourishment of a kind. It was just I was getting it from food and sugar. And as soon as I made that no
Connection.
longer an entitlement, my desire to connect with my husband, who I did pick on purpose, increased. So that was blew my mind and was such an
Wow.
amazing transfer. And bless her heart, and this is what I love about my coaching method, she wouldn't go to where I wanted to go. She went to where I needed to go first so that
Uh,
dominoes would fall. Once I was thinking straight, which I was when I was no longer tanking my marriage and addicted to sugar, then we looked at my career and I said I was analyzing all these things I could do. At the time, I was running a small business. I was matching tutors and clients. I was a president of a company, a small business, and it was fine. It was helping people, but I was so not fulfilled. Did you want this long story?
yes, I did.
Okay, so then she had me brainstorm all these things I could do with my life, right? And I was like, oh, I'll be a parenting guru. I actually said parenting guru, right? I had two little kids at the time. I thought I knew everything. Okay, so it's like I'll be a parenting guru, yoga teacher, maybe I'll be a rabbi, and then I wrote life coach, right? And for each one, I had to say head, heart, and hoo-ha. Like, how practical was it? How did it make me feel? And was it sexy enough, like, for me to say yes to it? And so all of these had different ratings. Most of the hoo-ha ratings were pretty low because I was the president of a company. I wasn't gonna become a yoga teacher. Like, I just couldn't get my head around that, like, demotion. And that's what happened with life coach. I wrote, that sounds like a quack. I would be
Mhm.
embarrassed to tell anybody I do that. And so my head rating was quite low and my hoo-ha rating was low too. I was like, I'm not tell that's embarrassing. Literally, I'm
Right.
embarrassed. I can't do that. But then for heart, I was like 10 plus because if I could do what you do to my coach, Lauren Handel
Mm.
Zander, if I could do what you do, I'd be really happy. Okay. And we just walked. I did my assignment. I handed it in. We talked about it once. And then she was like, okay, keep brainstorming, keep manifesting, keep thinking about it. And within a month, I think, of writing that down, the person who was running the life coaching division of the Handel Group, the company I worked for, I don't know, 15, 20 years,
Yeah.
left unexpectedly.
Ah,
And Lauren called me up. I was her favorite, I guess, client. Right? She called me up
her
and she
best student.
would you like to be president of the life coaching division? You'll basically be doing the same job you're doing now for your company, but selling coaching. I'll
Right.
train you to become a coach. You'll get to be a
Teach,
coach
learn the
too,
method. Yep.
but your title will be president. And I was like, yes, I
You're
will
like,
do
that I
that.
can sign up for.
That I could, my hoo-ha and head rating
My
just
ego is feeling like aligned.
exactly. So that was the next huge
Uh-huh.
breakthrough. And then because I was having a good relationship, unlike many other Intel coaches, I started to work with the Match.coms and the Zooks and the JDay and all the different entities that would come to us for love content. And so I got my 10,000 hours of teaching daters how to date, people how to save their
Wow.
marriage, people how to break up amicably. All of the love related content became my wheelhouse. So then, fast forward, my parents age, my kids age, life becomes crazy. I'm no longer inside as an executive at Handel Group. I'm making my own business.
Uh-huh.
Boom. What do I want to teach? I want to teach dating. I want to teach how to be ready to date, how to do it and have fun and be effective, and then how to be in an early relationship, building that honest, healthy culture.
Wow.
Story long,
Great story though, and not one that you could have mapped out knowingly. I mean,
magic.
like
I,
so
I'll
many.
attribute some of it to magic and a lot of it to coaching.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, I think having good coaches and mentors is invaluable. And I feel like few and far between. So few of us actually have them. We hear about how super successful people always have coaches and mentors. You're like, wow, that sounds really neat. Who am I to have that? It's like you're the same, yeah, same intrinsic value. You're a person and we all need them. And because we
Right.
don't live in these villages anymore where you can
Right.
have really easy access to
Where you can
mentors,
literally observe.
where
And
you
what's
can
interesting
observe.
is I actually had observed Lauren because I was in a women's group with her. So I hired my coach after observing her, to
Yeah.
your point about community. And she was living a life I wanted. She loved her career. She was in love with her husband. She was having a healthy body. Like those are the three
Yeah.
Those are the three
The
things
three
most people
pillars.
want. And she was doing it as if it was like,
Easy
okay. And I
peasy.
missed the class. Like I was going to all the same courses you were going to. Like,
Yeah.
where did I miss it? So that's why I hired her.
Yeah. It's just a step that's not worth skipping. And I do feel like that is in the gap for so many people. And especially with relationships, because they feel like they should just intuitively know. They should just know. They should just know how to pick them and they should just know how to be in relationship. And
We have so many good role models.
right. Exactly. But I feel like for so many people, they feel like it's something that shouldn't be need to be taught. And
Well,
considering that it's like the most time you spend other than probably sleeping is in a relationship with whomever your partner is, that
right.
doing some due diligence and getting some mentorship and coaching actually makes sense.
I think it is the most important thing. It's like neck and neck with your career and
Yeah.
contribution, but even as we live 20, 30 years past retirement, it's
And it
those
infiltrates all the different places.
right.
Where just the same way that you could say your business and your career can infiltrate your relationship and your home life, the same thing goes, right? It's like this flowing river that goes both
Yeah.
ways. Yeah. So let's talk about that. So you have your main audience is like women over 50. So coming to you either after a failed relationship of some sort, or maybe never having had a successful relationship, or what is that?
Widowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are the
Okay.
three categories. Yeah.
So what is that looking like? What is the so raw honesty? I feel like we all can get that. We all understand what that is. Let's talk a little bit about the radical accountability.
Yeah, I think it's so funny because like, it only was maybe a few years ago that I finally asked myself, why did this methodology work when the other ones hadn't? Because, like I
Mhm.
said, I was
Yeah,
doing a lot of
sure,
work on
sure.
myself when I found this coaching method called the Handel method. That's what
Uh,
it's named after this woman's family. It is because it's head, heart, and body. Just like I was saying, she was asking me head, heart, and hoo-ha, like turn on factor. She was looking on all levels. And this is one of the secrets to finding and maintaining healthy love, which is you have to be you have to be considering all three voters.
mm,
And what it doesn't matter how many therapists, gurus, books, courses, retreats,
mm.
transformational weekends you do, psychedelics, right? Let's
All
just
the things.
how many things you do, if you are not followed up with afterwards to make it into your life on an ongoing basis, it goes away. It's just the nature of it. Anybody who's ever done any of those things will tell you
Yeah,
if you are not accountable going into your future, it goes away.
it
And
does.
so I have clients that stay with me for years. I have clients who touch base occasionally,
Mhm.
but I personally have never stopped being accountable. I'm now accountable to a small group of friends when I'm not in a paid relationship with a
Right,
coach. So
sure.
I will never want to be unaccountable because I know what happens the minute I even think about it, not even do it. I
Right.
negotiate with myself. I'm like, I think maybe I don't have to
Oh,
keep that.
right.
I think I don't really have to do that. Like meditation's working. I think I can stop doing it.
Uh-huh.
It's like, no,
It's so easy. We
I
do it
can't.
to your point, like as soon as you leave a retreat, as soon as you finish a book, as soon as you like that energy, that flow, just it's like right out the
And it's nobody's fault. That's
no,
just
it's
the
just how we're
truly
made.
the nature of it. And that's what happens when people oftentimes when people fail in relationships, they stop doing the things. Now,
Mhm.
sometimes people fundamentally grow apart and there are irreconcilable differences, but oftentimes it's because you stop doing the things that made it work and you don't make the connection that's stopping doing that,
Mhm.
whether it's listening, giving the benefit of the doubt, having sex, that actually adds up to that was what was that was a key
That was the
ingredient of
glue.
what
Yeah, that's a big one. And I think in my experience, it's definitely the biggest and hardest hurdle, or at least you think it is in the beginning, because you just have to own all of it.
it is a little
You get to
embarrassing.
own all of it. Yeah.
Yes, it is a little embarrassing. And I will say, the two things she nailed me on when I was fixing my marriage, interrupting my husband and withholding sex, which I'm sorry, but
Oh, we got,
but
we got some balloons.
it's almost entirely ubiquitous.
Yeah.
Those two things that people stop doing that they did in the beginning, that listening and sex are the things that attract most men. And I
Right.
just stopped doing them. And I didn't think I had to. And I felt entitled and I had excuses. And it was embarrassing to go, oh, I stopped doing these fundamental things. I said love, honor, and cherish in front of everybody, and I just, nah,
Just was like, I'm
I
busy,
won't
I'm
pay my
tired, I'm
rent, you
busy.
know?
Yeah.
Hope it works out. I hope the landlord
Right.
doesn't, like it just, so in my case, it was a
Sure.
very clear cut lack of accountability to the things I said I was, or at least implied I was going to be good for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Sometimes it is that easy and straightforward and simple. That doesn't mean that it's just acceptance. It's like accepting that your part in it and then deciding, like choosing to take a different path, choosing to walk a different line.
I wouldn't have done it without a coach
Yeah.
because
It's so,
I
yeah.
remember even that moment of truth where my husband was like, you have to stop interrupting me if you want to have the dream with me. And I remember thinking, do I? Like, and then because I knew it would be such a hard habit to break, I interrupt my friend. I don't mind being interrupted. So I was in that moment, I could hear and think of my coach, and I'm not gonna. And honestly, the embarrassment and accountability factor made me go, you know what? I'm gonna quit. I'm not gonna interrupt you anymore. And if I do, I owe you. To this day, I still do a chore for him if I interrupt him because I'm still an interrupter.
And I think that you really nailed something. Like, I think a lot of people imagine going into coaching and like fixing themselves and like in a way that like, oh, you get to put it all in a pile and get rid of it. All these things about yourself that, and it's not, you don't ever really get rid of, you just become aware of and have an opportunity to be like, oh, okay, I see that. Either pivot, backpedal, make repairs, make amend. Like we don't get to just cut part of ourselves off and stick it down the chute. We get it. It's an opportunity to just reflect and be like, okay, yes, I see that that's what I'm doing that right now. Sometimes you're doing it and you're seeing it and you're like, wow, that's just happening and I can't. And then you're like, okay, so I just did that. And
Yeah.
which goes a long way because if anybody, as we've all, some of us have experienced it and some haven't, is that it goes a long way for your a partner,
Oh yes.
anybody that you're in relationship with, anybody, a
Yes.
coworker, a boss, a
Owning
friend,
your stuff, you
owning
mean?
it, having somebody be like, "Oh my gosh, I just did that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let me." And you're like,
My father used to say this thing that I thought was so silly until I learned it. He would say he thought it was a great business idea to make a mistake and then fix it. Because when you make a mistake and fix it, people feel that you care. They feel that you care. They feel that you will make good, that you will make like mistakes happen, and then now they have that extra bonded trust to you.
right,
Because now, is it ethical to purposely make a mistake and fix it? I don't think so. I don't think he ever did that, but that was
the
his
idea,
philosophy. That
yes,
if you made a mistake and fixed it, it would
like
create
publicly,
a
yeah,
bond, yeah, of
it does,
emotional, we call it emotional integrity, right?
yeah,
That's
100%,
another twist or secret that people don't understand how powerful that is.
yes, emotional integrity and fixing, yeah, just repairing
Instead
ruptures,
of pretending you make no mistakes or
yeah,
that
sure,
you'll make it again, you accept it in yourself, probably
Mhm.
accept it in your parents, by the way. It's
Yep.
another wonderful side effect. And
Mhm.
then you repair, which is why we do this concept of consequences, which is accountability. Still accountable to not interrupt my husband 20 plus years later. If I do, I owe one, I have to do one of his chores, which
Mhm.
I hate doing chores. I hate it. So if I have to do one of his chores, it really does remind me and help me be
Stay
quiet
accountable.
when I want to race on ahead in a conversation.
Oh, I love that. Okay, I think we have, I just want to touch on your 3 secrets to finding and maintaining healthy love. Can you give us a little?
I'm going to tease it because I really want people to watch the whole webinar. It's
Okay.
an hour long. It's free. You're going to get a link. You're going to give them a link because it bears going through it yourself and inquiring for yourself. And this is specifically if you are looking to date. Now, it could even be if you're looking to date in your own marriage. You could find applicability, but it is mostly
Mhm.
for single women, although again, men watch it and get a lot out of it. So we're not restricting anybody from watching. Anyway, so the 3 secrets. The first one is the main mistake that people make is staying too long with the wrong person. And
Mm.
anyone who's looking at a divorce is definitely going, It's usually much clearer when you're further away from your divorce. Oh, I guess I could have done that sooner. I was just too scared. But I'm also talking to daters because daters are lonely. Usually loneliness is what precedes getting back out there. And so then the willingness to go do something with somebody that's not the right match, head, heart, and hoo-ha, is too high. And then we stay because we're investing and we want to see it turn out. But unless they, for me, I give a very specific set of tools. This
Uh-huh.
is the Andel method. It's called the
Mhm.
3 H's, the three ingredients. The
Mhm.
second secret, and that is you have to be at a certain level, head, heart, and hoo-ha. You're not allowed to be at a 4. Like for
Oh,
me, life coach,
gotcha.
hoo-ha 4, heart 10 plus, head 6. No, that was
Not
a
in
no,
alignment.
right? The coach
Okay.
was like, no. So same thing with dating.
Interesting.
And then we give you a specific strategy to follow so that you only get 3 dates in order to determine that. And it's very quantitative. So it's not just qualitative how you feel, it's
It's the whole
quantitative. You're
things.
giving
Gotcha.
ratings. Yeah.
And through that, they're finding real success.
Yeah, because they're not, first of all, the first success is a great reduction of dating fatigue and
Mm.
increase in dating fun, right?
Okay.
Oh, gosh, this could
Awesome.
actually be fun. And oh, meeting new people used to be what we did on purpose. What used to
Right.
be. You know,
It's
so,
not a chore. It's no longer, oh, I need to get through this. It's, ooh, this could be,
and
yeah.
such a reduction in fear, right? Fear of making a mistake, fear of picking the wrong one, fear of staying too long, fear of falling in love with the having a bad pick or pick the next one.
Mhm.
So we reduce all of that so it's fun and effective. And then people are choosing healthier relationships. And the big part of my digital course is now how do we communicate in those first 3 dates? How do we communicate in the next 3 dates? How do we communicate in early monogamy? How do we communicate about sex? Like how do we communicate about our liabilities so that we are building the foundation for real intimacy, real connection, and we're also able to rule out not a match sooner because most people go, I didn't know. I was 8 months in. I didn't know his relationship with his ex. I didn't know
Ah,
the real health issues. I didn't know he was
so it's a
never going
real
to be.
protocol to like, let's get to business and let's make this, let's collapse the time for both of us so that we're both figuring this out sooner than later, which is a win-win, really.
That's what I think. And
Right.
I find that most people find it extremely refreshing, whether they're delivering the honest communication or on the
Or
receiving end of
receiving.
the honest communication.
Totally.
Yeah, and so I'm really trying to success is obviously the last love of your life is now with you.
Right.
But on the way, there's a lot of mini successes in
Right.
self-regard, self-confidence, fun,
Oh, I
effectiveness.
love it. What a great roadmap protocol to be guided through at what could feel like a super vulnerable point in time. And also, gosh, there's so many emotions attached to this time of transition in your life. It's just so different than when you're in your 20s and 30s, where you're like, oh my gosh, I've got all the time in the world, and it's feeling and looking your best self. And so it's just a different time. And it feels like a really great hand holding opportunity when you need it the most. Even though when you feel like, wow, I should really have my shit together. I should really know how to do this now. And it's what, yeah, says who? And why can't you?
Also, most of you have been very busy in a marriage that's been like, and that's been, and raising kids and having a career, that's a lot to manage. And
Mm,
nobody does teach this.
no,
And because culture is changing and technology is changing, even if you did learn it, I mean, certainly if you did it 20, 30 years ago, everything has changed completely. But even if you did it 5 years ago, things are really different now. So you need to
yeah, the
retool just
landscape, everything is so different.
like you would in your career. But the good news is for most women over 50, they don't need to land a husband to have a child. They're,
There are some other things. There's some, yes,
they know their
let
bodies
go of.
better. They know what turns them
Right.
on. There's as many advantages as disadvantages, as
Yes.
I believe.
I agree. I agree with that. Just having that whole idea of, oh, I need to get married and start my family and this and that, that's all done.
Yeah.
That is, you're like, yep, check, we did that. Now this is really just about real companionship, real
Yes.
partnership, which
Exactly.
is different than when you go about it in your 20s and 30s.
Totally.
So actually, I feel like after having this conversation, a lot more fun. Like I'm
Yeah.
That's a like
Got
big,
the
wider
potential.
world of
Awesome.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. All right, well, that's a perfect note to wrap this up on. Thank you so much for joining me and for doing what you do. Because I don't think there's a lot of coaches out there, but there's not a ton of really great relationship expert coaches really navigating, I feel like, this end of the spectrum. And I'm so glad that we connected and that we get to share you with the audience and encourage women who maybe have been like thinking about it or tiptoeing to reach out. Certainly watch the webinar and reach out and get some coaching on the next steps and protocol of how to have like their most fabulous, successful relationship.
Yeah.
Like it's fun. I'm
Great.
excited for everybody.
Yeah, me too. And we have community also. If you're in my course, you're in community. So there's women on the bench scared watching the game and learning. There's women on the dating sites and in real life getting
In the
dates and
field, in the
navigating
game.
that. And then there's early monogamy where they're figuring out how to have the conversations and everybody cross-pollinates
Oh, wonderful.
each other. So it's
Yeah.
really special.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a real village, if
Yeah.
you will. Yeah.
Yes, that
Wonderful.
community you spoke of at the very beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. We need more of that. So thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you in the future and all your things. And yeah, thank you.